What's up everyone, a very good morning. I just woke up, as you might be able to see, and I already took a cold shower to attack the day. Now I'm in the middle of my morning routine and I still need to write down my intentions of the day, and after I did that, I know what to focus on for the day and I'm going to pray for 5 minutes. After I prayed for 5 minutes, I will record the market outlook for you guys, and then I will just go for a walk about 15 to 20 minutes to see how I am going to approach this day and how I am going to achieve the intentions I set for today. So yeah, I will see you in the market outlook. Welcome back to the market outlook. I hope you have a great day already, but let's begin with the yen basket. So the yen basket is maybe ready to head down lower. Why is that? We took liquidity above this high and then we broke the daily fractal, meaning that we created new supply which could push price down lower in towards these equal lows and this yearly level. So that's what I'm looking for to trade towards. But then again, we still have that weekly supply open, right? And you can see that we just stepped in towards this weekly demand zone, so we could just head up higher and from there sell off. So I'm going to keep that in mind, but then again, this supply zone might be able to hold and push price down lower. So I'm going to see how price reacts inside this supply zone. Then going over to DXY, I'm looking at this price action. So previous week we touched the yearly level which pushed price down lower, and now I'm looking for a tap in towards this supply zone and then trade down lower in towards this liquidity low and this demand zone which is located at the 50% level of this daily swing, right? So we got the swing like this, and then I'm looking for a pullback in towards the 50% level. So yeah, going over Euro NZD, you can kind of see that we are in a range at the moment. So let me remove this real quick. So we are in a range like this, and you can see that the 25 and the 75 level act as a support and resistance level. So from this, after we grab this liquidity, we could trade up higher, and then from this point you could look for shorts. At the moment I'm not looking at any longs because there still is some liquidity and we still need to trade in towards the discount prices of this 4-hour swing, right? So I'm going to wait for this supply zone to get tapped, and from there I will look for possible shorts once again. Going over Euro USD, I think we are at least going to take out these equal highs and then maybe trade up higher in towards a daily supply which is located over here with those liquidity highs that are laying over here, right? So yeah, as you are able to see, we are swing bullish and we can just trade up higher in towards at least this swing high because the order flow is also bullish. And after we make connection back again with this demand zone and take out this liquidity, then we are able to trade up higher in towards that swing high. Going over Euro Yen, we just took this liquidity, and from here we could maybe trade up higher in towards that yearly level because the yen basket might be able to drop down lower like we explained earlier, but then again it could also trade up higher in towards that weekly supply. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant for yen pairs at the moment. So for now I will maybe just wait for further development and maybe come back to the yen pairs on Wednesday, but I will see how price will evolve, and I will also keep you guys updated in my Discord channel, so make sure to join that as well. At the moment on Euro GBP we are swing bullish, but like I explained in my trade breakdown, this is something I was looking to take out. So at the moment I'm still looking for shorts in towards that yearly level. Then what I'm able to see is that we took this liquidity high over here, and now we created a nice supply zone which could push price down lower again. So I'm having an alert on top of that supply zone, but then keep in mind that the monthly open is still something that is laying above these highs, so we might get a manipulation move, trade in towards a monthly open, and from there it could sell off in towards that liquidity low. But I'm going to see how price is going to react from this supply zone, and if we don't get any reaction and just trade up higher, I will look for some confirmation to short after we tap that monthly open. Then going over to Euro Swiss, we failed to break this high over here, so that could mean that there is some confirmation that we could trade down lower and take out the lows, right? Because if we fail to break a high, it is most likely that we need to take more fuel, aka liquidity, in order to then break the high, right? So that is what I'm looking at. I might be looking at this supply zone to then tap in towards there and then trade down lower in towards at least the yearly level and maybe the previous weekly low. But then keep in mind that if you look at the daily, we still have that daily supply open with some daily liquidity laying under that supply zone. So you might also get this trade, right? So keep that in mind when trading, so wait for enough confirmation. Euro CAD, I think has some possibility to trade up higher. I think it's at least going to take down this liquidity. And yeah, maybe trade in towards this supply zone. But if you look on the 4 hour, you can see that this is not a good low, so I do not like that. But yeah, we are 4 hour bullish. Then we broke the 4 hour fractal over here, so now we are also inside this 4 hour demand zone. So maybe after that we break this high, you could possibly look at some longs in towards the high, or in towards this liquidity at least. But then again, yeah, I do not like the lows over here, so I'm just going to stay out of this one, because I really want to trade A+ setups to maximize my win rate, right? So looking at Euro AUD, you can very clearly see that we are now inside this daily supply zone, which is pushing price back lower again, and I think that we might be able to touch those discount prices and take out this liquidity and then tap in towards this demand zone. So then I'm looking at the 4 hour, and I can see that we also broke the 4 hour fractal over here, which gives us some confirmation to the downside. Now we created this supply, and then I'm looking for some internal liquidity to get taken out, like this, or maybe even this. And then after that liquidity gets taken out, I will look for lower time frame confirmation in order to trade in towards those discount prices, right? So this is what I'm looking at for Euro AUD. Going over GBP USD, we now turned swing bullish, and if you look at premium versus discount, the discount prices are over here. So normally we will to wait for those to get tapped and then trade up higher. But if you look at the daily, you can very clearly see that we have that daily bullish order flow, right? We are respecting the demand zones, and then after we hit this demand zone and maybe the yearly level, we could then again trade up higher in towards this supply zone. So that is also what I'm looking at, and I will set my alert on this yearly level, right? So I'm able to look at something like this, and then I will go along. Going over GBP NZD, you can see that we are respecting the supply zone and then got a 4-hour fractal break to the downside, so we created new supply. Now I'm waiting for a tap inside that supply zone, and then I will look for some shorts in towards the swing low. Okay, going over GBP yen, same thing as euro yen, but I might look for longs on this one. So as you can see on the daily, we took lots of liquidity under this low, right? So what could you expect to at least take out this liquidity high over here? Because this is the first liquidity point that is laying or that caused this to break. So I think we can easily get a move and take out this liquidity, and from there could do whatever, right? So we now took this 4-hour liquidity, and after we break or we change the order flow back bullish, then I will look for some longs in towards these highs. So then going over GBP Swiss, I can now see that this is a dead gap, so this is a fake candle, so we didn't yet grab this liquidity over here, and now I'm looking for this supply zone to get tapped, and at the yearly level 2, then I'm looking for some lower time frame confirmation right over here to maybe get something like this, then the early seller swipe, then a fractal break and create new supply, and then I will put my entry and look for shorts in towards this liquidity low and this monthly open. So that is what I'm looking at for the moment. I got my alert ready. On top of that, liquidity and this supply zone. So then going over to GBP CAD, I was looking at this position to just trade up higher in towards this liquidity high with this order flow, but I do not like this position because if you look at the 4-hour, we are bearish, so we should just trade down lower, but you can see that we have bullish order flow, so it might be still possible to long in towards the liquidity high. But then if you look at the daily, you can very clearly see that you are now inside some daily supply zone, and I don't think it's the most safe option to go long, but I will keep you guys updated once I see a long possibility or maybe even a short possibility in this case. So looking at GBP AUD, we now have that bullish order flow on the daily, so we could push price higher from this demand zone and trade up higher in towards that monthly open, at least where these two liquidity highs are laying, which are more visible on the 4-hour. This high and this high are still open, as well as the monthly open. So now we are inside this demand zone, which and we took out this liquidity. So I'm going to scale in towards the lower time frame to see if I can find an entry. At the moment, we now tapped inside this demand, and I might be, I'm a little bit hesitant to short after a 50-minute fractal break because there's still this demand zone that is open, and then from this demand zone we could maybe trade up higher again. So I'm definitely waiting for a 1-hour fractal break at least. For the moment, this is your 1-hour fractal high, and this is your 1-hour fractal low. So I also would like to see some early buyers step into the market. You kind of had early buyers over here after grabbing that liquidity, but then again, this is still an Asia low, so I would see this want to go, then a fractal break, and then I would like to go long to trade all of this liquidity out and trade in towards that monthly open. So then going over AUD USD, I'm looking for this liquidity to get taken out, and from there I will look for possible shorts in towards that demand zone with that liquidity laying above. So that is what I'm looking at for the moment, and I'm looking at this because we now tapped in towards this daily supply, and after we take that daily liquidity, right, I think we can see a pullback in towards this daily demand zone, right, like this, boom boom. So going over AUD NZD, I'm looking at some shorts after we tap inside the supply, and then I will look for some confirmation to trade down lower in towards that yearly level. If you look at the weekly as well, you can see that after grabbing this liquidity high, we got a weekly fractal break over here, and then we created this new supply zone which could push price down lower. So then going over to the daily, you can see that we are daily bullish. Over here there was no break of structure because these are only wicks. So yeah, we are bullish, so we could trade up higher and take out the swing highs. But for the moment, yeah, it's also visible that we have some bullish order flow, so that's not a nice thing, yeah, for this short. So with this bullish order flow that we have over here, I might look for a shorter trade, because we could now easily trade up higher with that bullish order flow as well. But then if I go over to the 4-hour, you can see that we are swing bearish, right? And we grab liquidity above this high, not yet above this high, because guys, this candle over here is a fake candle, it's dead cap, and as well as this candle is also dead cap, and dead cap is a rollover. And for the guys that don't know what dead cap is just when all the trades from the day get set to the next day, and that causes huge volatility in the market, which creates these fake candles that you just need to think away. So it's at 23 p.m. Central East time, right? So at least I'm looking at a short from this supply zone over here, to then trade down lower, maybe in towards that weekly open. But I will keep you guys updated and see how price will react from this supply zone and how I can trade this short. So then going over AUD yen, we just took liquidity under this low. So first of all, we grabbed liquidity above this high, right? And that caused to take liquidity under this low, and now I think we are able to trade up higher and take out this liquidity and trade in towards that supply zone. So now I need to look. We didn't yet grab this liquidity over here, but I know that we grabbed this liquidity right under this low. So when going to the 1 hour, it's a little bit more visible. You can see that we grab liquidity over here and then go in towards this demand zone, and now our 1 hour fractal is over here above this high, and then I might be waiting for something like and I forgot to try this as well. So over here we were 1 hour bearish, then we turned 1 hour bullish over here, and now I think we came in towards around that 50% level, so we could push price down up higher again. So after we have that fractal break, we could see some more upside in towards that yearly level, possibly something like this, to trade up higher in towards that liquidity too. And you can also see that we had some reaction from that monthly open, which is pushing up price higher again. If you want to see how I will enter this, or if I am going to enter this, make sure to watch my market outlook channel inside the Trading Academy, and I will drop a link in the Discord, link down below from the Discord. So going further to AUD Swiss, you can see that we have this bearish order flow, so we trade in towards the supply zone, which then took extreme liquidity. Then we broke 4-hour fractal, then 4-hour fractal, and we now have bearish order flow, and now we could push price down lower again. We also took liquidity above this low, so I might see this liquidity get taken out and then look for further shorts. But then again, keep in mind we have some highs over here, and we could first take this one out and then trade down lower into that monthly open. So keep that in mind when trading a short over on AUD Swiss. Then looking at AUD CAD, we just tapped that monthly open, and I'm going to show why that is important. So on the weekly, you can see that we are inside this weekly supply, so we could at least get a reaction to the downside. On a daily, you can see that this weekly supply grabbed liquidity, so it means that it could be a strong supply that could push price down lower again, and maybe even inside this demand zone, right? So we could get a reaction to the downside inside this demand zone, and from there we could either trade up higher or we could trade down lower in towards at the yearly level. But I think we could at least expect a move in towards this demand zone. So when I go over to the 4-hour, the trade is counter trend because we are 4-hour bullish. But then again, we could see a reaction in towards this demand zone and maybe grab this liquidity, and from there we could either follow the 4-hour swing, or we could, after grabbing this liquidity, create new supply and then trade down lower with that weekly supply that is in control, right? So for a moment I'm looking for this liquidity low to go, and then I will scale over to the lower time frame and see how I will enter this trade. So I will wait for a 1-hour fractal break, and after we have a 1-hour fractal break and create a clear supply, I will possibly try to short in towards that liquidity low over here. So that is what I'm looking at, and once again I will keep you guys updated. Looking at NZD USD, I'm waiting for two possibilities. The first one is a pullback inside this demand zone and then this liquidity, and from there I will look for further longs in towards these liquidity highs, or we could see those highs get taken out and tap in towards this little supply zone over here, and then I will look at some confirmation and maybe then trade down lower in towards this liquidity low, but I will see how price will move from there. NZD yen, we took this liquidity and this liquidity. And now if you look at the recent price action, we created this demand zone, and then we got a reaction from the demand zone and we took this liquidity out. Then we broke the 4-hour fractal once again above this high, which means that we created this new demand zone, right? And this demand zone could push price up higher in towards that yearly level. So from this demand zone, I will go over to the 1 hour and see if I can find an entry. I can see that we had some liquidity laying like this. So I'm looking for this liquidity to get taken out and then maybe tap in towards this this 1 hour demand zone over here. And then I will possibly look at some further longs in towards at least that monthly open, which you can see is also the previous. There is a weekly high over here, not the previous but the one before that. So here's some liquidity which I'm looking to take out, right? I can now also see that we grab this liquidity and then also got a 1 hour fractal break over here. So you could say that you are already going to look for a possible long opportunity like this and then trade up higher like this, right? Or you could wait for that, for all of this liquidity to get taken out and then look for longs, which I think is a little bit more safe for your stop loss, because as you can see, if this happens, your stop loss gets taken out. So keep that in mind when trading this long, okay? I am going to wait for this liquidity to get taken out because I want to trade the highest probability setup. Now going over to NZD Swiss, looking at the daily or even the weekly, you can see that we have liquidity laying above these highs, and I think that we are now ready to take those out and then obviously get a reaction to the monthly open and then take out this weekly low over here. So this is something I'm looking at, and then if you go over to the daily, it's even more visible. 1, 2, 3 highs, you take them out and lots of liquidity got taken out, then you could easily expect a move in towards the downside and that monthly open. So then going over to the 4 hour, you can see that we have this 4 hour supply. Once again, this candle is rollover candle and it's a fake candle like I explained earlier. So what happened was that I'm just waiting for this liquidity high to get taken out. Then I would want to see a tap in towards this supply zone, and from there I will look for some shorts into that monthly open and take out the weekly low, right? So this looks like an A+ setup, and I'm definitely going to look out for this one. Looking over at NZD CAD, it's kind of the same as AUD CAD, but I think I like this one a little bit more. You can see that we just step in towards this fresh supply zone on the weekly, which could get a reaction. And then if you look at the daily, I'm waiting for this liquidity high to get taken out over here. Then I would want to see a tap in towards that supply zone, and from there I would like to see a small short in towards the downside. And also, if looking at the 4 hour, this one is swing bearish, but once we break this high we are swing bullish, but then we could get a reaction to the 50% level and maybe trade a short in towards that level, right? So I'm looking for this liquidity to get taken out, and then I will look for some 4-hour confirmation in order to short down lower in towards maybe this demand zone. But then again, keep in mind guys that this monthly open hasn't been tapped, so that could be that we just trade up higher and tap that monthly open. So I wouldn't recommend limiting something like this. Okay, then going over USD yen, I'm definitely waiting for this demand zone to get tapped, and after some confirmation then I will look for possible longs in towards maybe that weekly open. Going over USD Swiss, we now took this liquidity, and I think we can possibly trade maybe up higher and take out this liquidity, but we could also just drop down further, and then maybe drop even lower and just like a falling knife, right? Just trade down lower. So I need to wait for further confirmation once before getting into any trade on that pair. So now on this pair USD CAD, I'm waiting for a tap in towards this supply zone, in towards that yearly level, and in towards that liquidity high, and then I will look for some further shorts. Going over to CAD yen, you can see that we created this bullish order flow and that we are reacting or respecting every demand zone. So once we trade in towards this demand zone, I will look for some possible longs to trade even up higher, because eventually I think our goal is to trade in towards at the yearly level, because we have an open supply zone and we have liquidity laying under the yearly level. Looking at CAD Swiss, I can see that we have that yearly level open, and then we have some liquidity laying over here. And if you look at the 4-hour, we are swing bullish, but if you look at premium versus discount, you can see that we still need to trade in towards that discount level, and then we can trade up higher and make a new swing high. Okay, so for now we took liquidity above this high, but not yet above these highs. But then again, if you look over here, we had some supply and this got respected by this high, and then we had a new supply, and I think it now got respected by the high we created over here. So you can see that we have bearish order flow. So now from this supply zone over here, I will look for shorts in towards that liquidity and at the yearly level. So going over to the 1-hour, I will look at possibly this supply zone, and then I would like to see some confirmation, and then I would like to short. So going over Swiss yen, I think that we are able, or we are going to trade in towards a monthly open, because we now have created this demand zone, which could push price up higher again. Then again, on the weekly, we are inside this weekly demand. We already tapped once, but now we tapped twice, and then the real move in towards the upside could happen. Going over to the daily, we also took this extreme liquidity, so now we are maybe ready to trade up higher. Keep in mind, we are now inside this supply zone which price is respecting at the moment and pushing down lower again. So even if we have this supply zone open, price could easily trade down lower with this supply zone in control. So longing this pair might not be the best at the moment. I think that we have this liquidity. Okay, we still have this liquidity open, so we could maybe trade in towards this 4-hour demand, and then trade up in towards that liquidity highs, and then also that monthly open. Okay, so this is something I might consider too long. Going over gold, I think we can eventually this month or next month trade in towards the 3000 price, but for now I think that we can swipe these buyers, and then after we tap into that 4-hour demand, we can trade up higher again into that 3000 level. So I'm keeping my eye out for that demand zone. Going over to silver, we are swing bullish. We took liquidity, and that means that we are ready to trade up higher in towards that no. Why is it a no? First of all, we trade and we trade away, so no early sellers are swiped, meaning that these are early sellers, and then we could get the swipe, and then we could get the real move in towards the downside. Looking at this supply zone, we also missed that supply zone, so we still need a connection with that supply zone. Going over to the daily, you can also very clearly see that we have bullish order flow on the daily. So we had demand, and we are respecting demand at all times. Now we are inside this demand, and we expect that to hold and trade up higher in towards that supply which I was talking about on a 4-hour. So then scaling over to the 1-hour, you want to see some confirmation after you grab this liquidity over here and trade in towards this demand zone. So as you are able to see, you could possibly already had a long with your stop loss under this low, your entry on top of this 1-hour demand zone over here. Because what happened, we came and take that liquidity, we trade up higher, and then we swiped, we trade down lower, we then trade up higher, and we then swipe early buyers. We then trade up higher again, meaning that we create this new demand zone, and then if after you tap inside of the demand zone, you could trade up higher in towards the highs. But this is your first step in towards demand, so this for me is a no. So I am waiting for a swipe of that demand or a swipe of that low, then I will look for some confirmation like this, and then I will wait for further longs in towards that high. So also keep in mind that there's also some liquidity left in that demand zone which we could also take out. So I'm going to set my alert on this low, or I do not have any alerts, but I will keep my eye out for this low, and then I will look at some longs. Also guys, in this move up, there is no liquidity whatsoever, so we could expect to take out that whole move and then trade up higher. Okay, going over to US oil, on the daily we are inside this daily demand. On a 4-hour we swiped some liquidity over here, so we could just maybe get a reaction up higher, but then again we trade inside this supply zone. Now we created this supply zone over here, and then from this supply zone we then again could trade down lower once again. For now we could maybe look for a long in towards this supply zone and in towards this liquidity, so then it would look like something like this with your stop below that low in towards that supply, and then like this for a 3RR. But as you can see, once price comes back in towards this level, it's not likely that we're going to trade up again. So, or wait, maybe, let me see guys. Looking at the 50-minute, we have this demand zone, and then we also have this liquidity, and then after we tap this, we could possibly take a long in towards that liquidity which I explained on the higher time frame, and this supply zone over here, right? So this might be a possible setup because you swipe this liquidity over here. But at the moment, I don't like to trade US oil because of Trump, and he can say whatever and price will move in every direction. So I'm staying out of oil on this one. Then going over to Bitcoin real quick, you can see, yeah, we are still rangy, and that means that we are ranging all crypto pairs. So I'm just going to stay out of these. Solana, like I wanted to see, is going for that low, so I will wait for that low to go, and then I will look for possible longs once again. Going over to XRP, I saw that we now trade up higher and took this liquidity, and I think that we maybe could just trade up higher in towards a monthly open, but for now I cannot see any entry. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye.